Well, usually it's been known as a neighborhood restaurant, but definitely a restaurant for good choices in Latin food that we selected. A little Cuban, a little Mexican, and some of our inventions. I'm half Mexican, half Cuban. My mother's from Mexico, my father from Cuba. And my mother, she definitely has a strong say in the food. We've considered her chef for many years. She's been always curious to bring out the Mexican flavors out, and I guess through marriage and family, she learned the Cuban dishes. Cuban is a little bit more about garlic, a little more about white rice, black beans, plantains, some Caribbean flavors, some flavors that are linked to Spain. The Mexican flavors, a lot more indigenous to the country. Peppers, tortillas, the certain preparations of beef. It's two different worlds.
So Jan, you say that everything's great at Cafe 28. Tell us why you chose it.
It's such a great little restaurant. Actually, a big restaurant. It's expanded a lot over the course of the last few years. But it's one of those places, there's so many Mexican restaurants in Chicago. This is Mexican with Cuban and a little bit of Caribbean, all stewed together to create just the perfect mix.
Now, you're not just talking without some experience here.
I'm not. My family's actually from the Caribbean, which is one of the reasons I went to this restaurant at first. Actually, I saw them at Taste of Chicago a few years ago and decided to check it out. And they have a lot of traditional Caribbean dishes, but they also have the Mexican dishes too. They have a dish that's very similar to fajitas and things that most people are familiar with, but just kicked up a notch. But there's a lot of surprises on the menu too. While there are very traditional Mexican dishes and Cuban dishes, there are things like baked goat cheese, which you would never really expect to find at a Latino restaurant or a Caribbean restaurant. Oh, yum! The baked goat cheese actually comes with these little crostinis with spicy tomato sauce, and you could just paste it onto the little crostinis and you eat them.
Now, I wonder if it's hard to decide. Should you do the Cuban part of the menu or should you do the Mexican part? Which part of the menu to go for, David?
I think just being so bored with the Mexican part of it, the Cuban part seems so much more interesting. Like the appetizer I had was a taste of Cuba, which was a great array of foods and empanadas and so forth that were just to die for. They were really flavorful. Nothing that was like too spicy that like turned me off at all, but it was just really wonderful food.
Tell us about your entree items at Cafe 28.
Well, I had, and I believe it was called the Ropa Vieja.
Ropa Vieja, yes.
And it was the beef was with a little tomato sauce with a little garlic. It was probably the most tenderest beef I've ever had. I mean, it just literally just fell right off, and it was just delicious.
Well, considering the translation of Ropa Vieja, old clothes. So you get the idea. Well, just
fell right off the line.
They boil the meat.
So that being that
I guess
tender.
They used to boil clothes to get it clean. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
But it was just wonderful. And then again, you said the rice and beans were a great compliment there, and some fried plantains, which was just that sweet part that you needed to balance the tomato and the garlic. It was really amazing.
Well, the Cuban food and Mexican food is a huge difference. There's a lot more Spanish and Mediterranean influence in Cuba versus the spice and heat-driven influences in Mexico. Sarah,
it's still full of flavor as well.
Oh, it's definitely. No, it's not like it's lacking flavor. It's just a different way to approach it. It's not the same thing, really. So, Sarah, when you went, did you enjoy the Spanish part or the Cuban part?
I think we enjoyed more of the Cuban part, but I'm not quite sure. We had the appetizers that was the tamales, and the tamales were sort of very different than I'd ever experienced tamales in my life, which usually, are a tubular shape, and this was more of little triangle slices. And it was very tasty, very savory. And then I had a fish almond encrusted halibut with jalapeno mashed potatoes. That it was really nice to taste the flavor of the jalapenos instead of just the heat of the jalapenos, because I like spicy food, but if it overwhelms the flavor, then then you're just tasting the hot.
When we were there, we got there around 7, no wait. The table right next to us, we were sitting next to a couple on one side and a bigger group of people from, I think, Argentina on the other side of us. So it was just a really interesting mix of people. It's a very eclectic crowd.
And those women, that was really nice.
Yes.
For me, like, oh, there's other women
That's that warm feeling to it, too, even in that back area.
Okay, David, we're having a bit of an estrogen fest here.
I'll be in the back. Just call me when you're ready.
Girls are very exciting.
Well, you know, one thing you said about the wait, we waited only about a half hour or so and had a great mango martini, or margarita, pardon me, and it was really amazing. And there was a little bit of chill coming through that door. It was a cold winter night, but it really got you into having a cocktail mood.
Yeah.
And then margarita really sounded very good. And it was wonderful.
Mango margarita.
If we're talking about booze, the caipirinhas there are absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys got a chance to try them. The caipirinhas.
Tell us about the caipirinhas, Jam.
It's actually a traditional Brazilian drink, if I'm not mistaken, and it's made with this rum-like alcohol. It's called cachaça. They're so good.
To be careful with the caipirinhas because the proof of the cachaça rum is almost like Everclear.
So
they mull it with fresh limes and sugar, and then they put ice on it, and then the
brown
cachaça
sugar,
rum,
I think, at the bottom.
and then you mix it up, and you drink it, and you don't understand how strong it is. And after
They go down pretty easy.
They do.
Okay.
They do. After 2 or 3, you're like, oh, have I had? What number am I really on here? Because these are so good.
Was I here for dinner?
Exactly.
I guess you could roughly call them the Brazilian mojito without the mint.
Right.
Okay. Well, Jan, this was your selection. Wrap it up for us.
It's a great place to go with just about anybody for great food. If you love Latino food, this just kicks it up a notch.
Sarah?
I would definitely go back there. I would say it's a really nice place. It's not incredibly cheap, so when you want to spend a little bit more for a really nice kind of weekend out, I would definitely recommend it.
And David.
I thought the whole experience was great. The bar was just a really unique little experience. I mean, it was just such a nice, intimate little place to have a cocktail, and the food and the service was impeccable as well.
Well, you can taste the lush and Latin flavors for yourself at Cafe 28, 1800 West Irving Park Road, 773-528-2883. They're open for dinner every night and lunch Tuesday through Friday with a brunch on the weekend. Reservations are accepted for parties of 6 or more, and the average tab per person without drinks is about $25.